to another day of living in the new house. I've just made Elizabeth jump again because that was completely out of the blue. Yeah, we've recovered after yesterday's antics, and we have some more upgrades to show you through. Things have happened this morning. We now have a TV. It'll be a bit small for the wall, but it'll do as a temporary measure. It is hooked up to the phone. It is hooked up to Amazon Prime, so we can actually watch some shows not on a tiny screen on a phone or a laptop, so that's nice. Feeling a lot more homely, which is good. You'll notice we've cleared the area a little bit and done a small amount of tidying. Currently Storm... Is it Derek?
No. Oh, it's something D.
Storm something begin with D. Storm name for rolling in alphabetical order. It is rolling through, so I'm kind of not wanting to go outside and get rid of any more of this stuff into the garage because it is blowing blizzards out there at the moment. Weirdly though, the star that Elizabeth put on top of the bush, which isn't exactly glued on, is somehow still on there in the 60-70 mile an hour wind. So it's
Dara.
Storm Dara. There you go. Storm Dara has not defeated the star on top of the tree just yet.
No, not yet.
Nope.
Though it has the bins though.
Oh yeah, we've lost a couple of the bins. I say lost them, they've fallen over because I've got no rubbish in, so I'll have to go pick those up again for the 1000th time later today. Other things in the form of updates. Oven situation. You will notice the clock is on. James and Shane rang me up. They were like, oh, we've got a free bit of time now. We can come around and sort the oven out. So they've got power to the oven. I haven't actually powered it up to cook yet because I've still got to remove all the packaging and stuff from underneath it. We're probably not going to do it and use it tonight, and Alex is going to be here hopefully tomorrow afternoon to sort the gas out to it so we can use the hob as well. So I'm kind of just like, I'll leave it where it is for now. We'll pull it out on the packaging and then lift it out later once the gas is all in. But that's a great success. So technically we have an oven we can nearly use once I've actually fired it up and burnt off all the manufacturing stuff off it. And then the other job they did was that James has been down and fixed the TV cable after Elizabeth and James fixed the Elizabeth and Jack fixed the data cables that were torched underneath the floor. So actually, all the floorboards can go back down in the office. So that's what I'm going to be getting on with in a minute. Is getting those floorboards back down first, so we can start moving some of the stuff out the front bedroom, and then we're going to break out the new wall sanding toy. And I'm going to go snort a load of plaster dust. So if you hear me sneezing every time in 5 minutes in the vlog, you'll know where that's come from. So yeah, let's go do that. We have got this room prepped and ready to receive all the junk, receive all the junk that we've got stored in this room. There is a couple of issues I want to take a look at before I do that though. First of all, if I do this, that rattling sound means there's a pipe somewhere underneath here that's not been lagged properly. So we're going to want to lift the floorboards to make sure that we put some of that hair felt around it to stop it doing that, because when it's got water going through it, guess what? That's the noise it's probably going to be making. So yeah, we're going to have to relift these floorboards and have a look at that. Better to do that before I put the junk on the floor rather than later. The second one is, and I don't know whether I've spotted this before, I'll have to look back in a previous vlog, this board here, actually there's nothing underneath it holding it down where it's cracked. So we're probably going to have to lift this one here to take a look at it and have a look what's going on over there, see if there's something we can do to brace underneath that particular board, because unfortunately it runs underneath the boxing as well, so that one is going to be an absolute pain in the backside to replace if I have to replace it. It's not the best board because it also has this crack and noggin here, so ideally I'd want to replace the whole length, but we'll have to look and see how feasible it is to physically do that. So as much as I've just cleaned everything, we need to get lifting some of these floorboards back up and have a quick look-see at those. And then, yeah, we'll get everything moved out of there and get prepping in here, ready to start doing some sanding. One other story as well, actually. I was vacuuming away, and then when I actually turned the vacuum off inside of here, there was this awful sound going on outside. Like a mixture of horns and everything, but it was actually quite haunting. Turns out, actually, it was a Christmas tractor parade that we were intending to go have a look at, but given the storm and given how windy it is, yeah, well, one, we forgot about it, and two, we didn't want to venture outside with the storm that's going on, so yeah, but the horns going off was actually kind of terrifying. No more rattle. That's issue number 1 fixed. So where these 2 pipes are running down here, you can't quite see, I've just tucked underneath. Maybe you will, if I do this and give you some light. There you go. You'll see there's 2 pipes there that are crossing over, and they were just rattling against each other. So that bit of hair thought I've artistically shoved under there is what's stopping all the rattling now, which is good. The second issue, and thankfully I managed to uncover both by just unlifting this one floorboard. You'll see this is the cross brace that goes across the top of the stairs. To support this part of the floor over here, but unfortunately this bit there is literally nothing underneath for it to sit on. So what I think this is really going to be a challenge. I'm tempted to try and get some wood just tucked underneath there and screw in from this side just to hold it in place. Whether or not I'm going to be able to do that is another question, so we may need to come back and have a think about this and the best way of actually physically supporting this. Because yeah, access is a little bit of an issue on this one, so I will reconvene with you once I have found a solution. I think the solution is going to come in the form of this piece of stud work. Now this was a bit that I originally had in that wall over there, and I'd actually chiseled out part of it to fit that plywood bin where the radiator is going to fit. Conveniently, it fits nicely through that slot there, and if I flip that up and hold it in place with a couple of screws, then I should be able to at least get half a board's worth of some level of support. It's not going to be perfect through there. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to lift this other floorboard here. We're going to cut up a couple of pieces of this. I've got a small bit there just as a test piece, but we'll cut up a couple of pieces of this, and then we'll try and fix that through with some long bolts going through the joist that way, and then screw down into it from the floorboard. It's not going to be ideal, but I think it's the best thing we're going to be able to do in terms of access without actually completely ripping this off and making all of a mess up there. Which may, if this doesn't work, may ultimately be what it needs to be, but it doesn't need to be particularly load bearing. Maybe my desk leg's probably going to go on it, so I've got to be a little bit careful around there. But let's see if this works first. If it doesn't, then yeah, we may end up having to take this cover off the boxing and seeing if we can actually replace that whole length of floorboard more readily. Yeah, because that's not ideal. I think bit of a change of plan. So I'm going to roll a clip now after sticking my phone in the floor of what it looks like under there while I'm talking. And it looks like this platform isn't actually fastened to any of the stud work or anything else on the back end. So what I'm proposing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut the multi-tool down here, see if I can slide this out, recut the notches into a new piece of floorboard, fix the bits of wood that I want further and deeper under like that on the base of the floorboard, slot the whole ensemble in, and then screw in from this side to hold it in place. I feel like that's going to be a more secure solution. Now there is a bit of risk to this, and the risk is I cut this and this board doesn't come out, and then it ends up a little bit more flappy, but I think it's a risk worth taking given that this board is cracked anyway, and you can see there's multiple cracks going the whole way along it. And bear in mind I'm probably going to put a desk here, and the desk leg could very well end up sitting on that floor, but I do want to make sure it's braced properly. So not what I was intending to do at the moment, but it's another problem that's going to get fixed in a more secure way. So let's crack on with that. we are back down and in. You may be asking, Ryan, why did you lift all those extra floorboards? A message to you, sir, Jack. I appreciate you, I love you, and I thank you for all the help. But you may have laid those floorboards upside down. So what was happening is where there's like a thin groove edge on the edge of the floorboard, I'm going to dig a piece of floorboard to show you. So where you have the tongue and groove in these, you have a thinner edge and a thicker edge. The thinner edge was on the top, and unfortunately when it was being trodden on, and there was nothing underneath it, because the tongue and grooves weren't tucked into each other, the tongue and groove was cracking and breaking. And yeah, so I had to lift all of those and flip them all round. Was kind of good that I did that because I was able to put some extra hair felt around some of the pipe there that you saw. But we are now back and fully relayed. Now under here as well, you may see me pause slightly through the time lapse because there's actually a crack down the middle of this board, but it seems pretty solid enough. But I actually managed to modify the plan from what I originally said and put some pieces of stud work in and braced into the 3 battens there. So this is now, there you go, my full weight on that, and it's as solid as a rock. So glad that is now fixed, glad that is now repaired. We have no more squeaks. The floor is now level. We've even put the bigger screws back in there. So yeah, we are now at the stage where we can clean this room out again, vacuum it out again, and then we can finally get to what we were actually supposed to be doing, which was moving everything from in here, in there, and not sanding the roof because it is already 10:30. So we ain't going to be lighting up the sander. So that's going to end up being tomorrow's job. Elizabeth was calling me out earlier because she said pretty much the entirety of these vlogs is just you saying what you're going to do and then not going to go what you're going to go do anywhere. That was great English, Ryan. So yeah, that's another day of saying I'm going to do things and then not doing those things. So let's get this room cleaned and tidied up. And then I may start shunting some of the stuff out of that room as well. So at least we've got a clean start to do what we're supposed to be doing today, tomorrow. Well, my phone ran out of storage, so we didn't end up with any more time-lapse footage, but I've moved the biggest parts of the materials now back into this office, so this is back now into storage room. I know we haven't completed this back wall yet, but I really do want to get on with finishing the front bedroom. I mean, I'm kind of between two because I'm like, I could just finish this and that'll finish that, and or I could finish this and do that. But I think the priority for me at the moment is actually just getting the bedroom complete. So there is still all the smaller bits of tools and everything else in there. We'll clean all those up in the morning because it's getting on a little bit now. The only other thing I have done is I've actually just moved the toilet now into the position it's going to be in the bathroom-ish, just so it gets a little bit more feeling a perspective of what's going on in there. So yeah. Was it a successful day? Yes. Was it a successful day against objectives? No, it was not. But we will reset the objectives for tomorrow. We will come in back with a vengeance for this front bedroom. We'll definitely get around the window done for definite, and then we're going to give it a go at sanding as well. All being well is Alex should be arriving, so hopefully we should have pipes back in this wall, and maybe, well, we won't be able to get cables down in that wall because the cable's still being modified, but we will at least hopefully get the holes drilled in that wall. So we should be at the stage where we can get this bit of wood chiseled back out, back in the wall, that plasterboard back in, headers in, etc. Even if we put the header in this side, then we're actually at the stage then where we're getting towards getting the halls done, with the exception of the loft ladder. So hopefully a good weekend of progress ahead of us. I'll say ahead of us, we are halfway through the weekend, so we'll continue to fight our way through the progress. But no longer today, so that pretty much brings us to the end of the vlog. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Happy hunting, and hope you're all having a safe and enjoyable run up to Christmas.